class, in a previous video we used a procedure to calculate the product of two factors and toss that back to main. It looks something like this. We had two input parameters, factor 1 and factor 2, and the output parameter product. And of course we multiplied those two together, and product would be returned or tossed back to main. Well, what if we wanted to multiply several pairs of numbers together, get the product, and keep track of the sum of the products? That's what we're going to give a try to here. So let's look at how we might do that in main. Here's the main program that's going to accomplish that. And we'll just modify the size slightly here so you can see the whole thing. Okay, there's the entire program. We've got a loop control variable count, which we set to 1. Here's our loop. You can see by the loop condition here, this loop is going to run twice, and count equals count plus 1 is going to ensure that as well. What's going to happen in there? Well, let's get back to that in a minute. Look up here. Here's the important part of this program. This is called an accumulator. I'm setting a variable called product underscore sum to 0. We're initializing it to 0. This is going to act like a bucket that we can throw the products into and sum them up. Product sum. It's an accumulator. Very common tool that's used in computer programming. Now let's look at the loop. Inside the loop, we've got two inputs for the two factors. num1 and num2 are the two factors that are going to be multiplied together. And here's the procedure call, multiply with the two input parameters num1 and num2 and the product output parameter. Once that is done, product will come back to main, and we're going to use it here. Product will be used here to accumulate the product underscore sum accumulator. We'll take the current value of the product sum, add the product onto it, and reassign it to product sum. Let's give it a try. And I'm going to step through it. Here we go. And we're now in the first part of the loop, the first iteration. Looking for our first factor. I'll keep the number simple with 10 and 5. Now watch what happens. You'll notice that the product has been set to 50, and so has the product sum over here in the watch window. Product sum is now 50, and the most recently calculated product is also 50. Now we're in for the second loop cycle. I'm going to try 20 and 2. Once again, we'll just use easy numbers. Now we're down into the procedure. Now we're back into main, and there's our final output. The two products add up to 90. 50 plus 40, in fact. There's the last product, as you can see, 40, and the product sum is now 90. Now, an important part of this program that we want you to understand is that right here in the call to this procedure, num1 and num2 are called the arguments to the procedure call. We'll call them arguments here, num1 and num2. When we define the procedure, we call them factor 1 and factor 2. So num1 becomes factor 1 inside the procedure. num2 becomes factor 2 inside the procedure. Earlier I think we just used literal values, actual numbers. Okay, so each time this runs we calculate a product using our procedure call here. And then we take that returned output parameter product and use it to accumulate the product sum.